Lakshmanji. A lesser known fact that I came to know was he was also called Gudakesh, where he was given a boon to stay awake for 14 years so that he could protect Ramji and Sita Ma.
Another trivia, Arjun is also called Gudakesh. And when you say you get a boon to not sleep, it actually means a boon of the highest level of awareness.
And you've spoken about like this arrow being, it might be mighty to actually let Hanumanji sit and go through. Ayodhya is in the north of India and it had to go all the way down to the south of India.
Yes. Like Vishwamitra and Vashisht, they transcend yugas. They come from Satyug and they are there in Treta and still going strong, if you may use that word, He gives all his weapons which he had manifested to Sri Ram. They are, let's say, activated with a chant, with a mantra. Like today, we say missiles are activated with codes. But these special weapons come in human form and they surrender to Ram and they say, yes, we will be available whenever you want us. They are then imbibed into the body of Sri Ram. Now imagine a scenario where Ram the victorious is standing at the feet of Ravan, the fallen, and telling him, kindly give us some knowledge. And that is when Ravan gives him 3 pieces of information.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode, which is all about Ramayan, but with a twist. We all know the mainstream story about Ramayan, but we don't know the lesser known fact. And today, I am joined by yet another amazing human who's not only read the Valmiki Ramayana, which is the original, but she embodies those learnings in every single cell of her being. And I think a lot of you know her already because we've had an episode with her earlier. Her name is Anupam Ramesh Kinger, the housewife who is a Hindi production theatre owner in Bahrain. And if you've not watched her episode, please go back and watch it and then come back. Anupam ji, namaste.
Namaste. Thank you for having me again. Absolutely wonderful.
So are you excited to decode and teach me and so many of the viewers the lesser known facts about Ramayana?
Totally.
For the main character.
Absolutely. Absolutely excited. Because you see, every person is a protagonist of his or her own life. Yeah. Their entity doesn't begin and end with their association with Sri Ram. They've had a whole life. So, of course, there are a lot of lesser known facts about each and every character.
Great. And I think, when I genuinely wanted the main characters to be shown in a way, we all know, there's Ramji because Ramayan is all about Ram. But there are other characters, even to the extent of Kaikeyi, who's, supposedly the evil one, but she was really good. And that's why I brought you, because you've known so many facts about Ramayan. So let's just jump in. Okay. So
absolutely.
Are you ready?
Absolutely.
Great.
Couldn't feel better.
Likewise. Jai Shri Ram. Let's start.
Jai Shri Ram.
So the first character, Ramji. Naturally, we all know that he is the embodiment of God in human form.
Yes.
But a lesser known fact that people don't know, apart from him going to, for exile for 14 years on the commands of his father, which, shows the symbolism of righteousness in him, but also defeating one of the most powerful demons, Asur, Ravan. He was really good at diplomacy and how to really rule a kingdom. So can you touch base on that, please?
Sure. I mean, it all begins very early on in life when at the time of Sita Swamvar, we are told that he was the only one who could knot the bow, who could string the bow. And it is said that in that moment, the bow broke into two. And the person who had given this bow to King Janak, who is Sita's father, for safekeeping, was the Lord Parshuram, who is known for his anger. And he came from where he was, thumping into Janak's court in a very dramatic manner, very angry, wanting to kill the person who dared to break his bow. And that is when Janak is scared. If you visualize, Janak is scared, Sita is worried, Lakshman is angry, Vishwamitra is helpless, he doesn't know what to do. It is only Sri Ram who goes and approaches him and tells him two things. First, he tells him, I am your disciple, I am your Shishya. Second thing, he tells him that my name is just Ram. Your name is bigger, more powerful, because you have a Parshu attached to it. So kindly forgive me. This was just a part of the whole process of Swamvar, and it just happened. But when Parshuram could not control his anger, and he still said, come, I challenge you to a duel with me, come fight with me, etc., etc. It is said that at that time, with all seriousness and serenity, like a mother reprimands a child,
Hmm.
he told Parshuram, I don't even need to fight you. One arrow, and you will forever be on the Malayagiri Parvat, on the top of that mountain, and you will never be able to come here into what is in Hindi called the Janpad, or in English, the civilized world where humans live. And at
Hmm.
that time, now you could again think of this as retaliation, but no, at that time, Parshuram's ego disappeared and he fell at Ram's feet and he said, I did not recognize you earlier. Now I recognize you, Lord Vishnu. And in a very beautiful way, this entire challenge was dissipated very peacefully without bloodshed, which
Hmm.
teaches us how to deal with atrocities, with
Conflicts.
difficult situations.
Wow.
So that's one of the lesser known facts about Ramji.
Beautiful. And do you think, Anupam ji, that he was naturally an avatar of Vishnu ji, and he who came down in the human form? The consciousness that he was, the soul that he was so powerful that it made even the toughest situations come back to a space of peace, love, calmness.
Absolutely.
And that's
Absolutely.
why Ayodhya dipped when he went
Yes.
aboard.
Yes. Okay. Two things. First of all, the name Ayodhya means a place which cannot be won over by war.
Hmm.
So conflict cannot stay in Ayodhya. So when you go through the history of Ayodhya, whenever there is a conflict, it is very quickly dissolved. Like one day Kaikai says, send your son into the forest, which could have again become a full blown war. But the very next day, just because Ram says, okay, I will go, there was no conflict. Like who does Kaikai fight if he has agreed? We will deal with the whys and the hows, but yes. And the second thing is that Dasharath means Dash plus Rath, which is 10 chariots.
Hmm.
So a person who can hold on to a 10 horse chariot and yet fight is called Dasharath. The 10 horses here are your five senses of perception, the Gyanendriya, and your five senses of action, the Karmendriya. So
Hmm.
only a person who is in a no conflict zone, which we call equanimity or samatva, Ayodhya, and who has full control over the 10 horses of Indriya, of
Hmm.
senses, can then be the sire of a son like Ram. So that's
Wow.
another trivia of understanding.
And this actually brings me to this thought that I just had, that, you actually choose your parents before you're born.
Yes,
So now I know why Ramji chose Dashrath to be his father,
absolutely.
because he held so many, his consciousness was at the right space for him to be born as a son.
100%. Absolutely.
Amazing.
Absolutely. And there is also another backstory for it. why Dasharatha and Kaushalya were the chosen ones, because they had done penance for many years just for
Okay.
this one thing, because they wanted to be the parents of Lord Sri Hari Vishnu whenever he is born.
Fantastic. Okay, so now we move on to, of course, Sita Ma. She's not
Beautiful.
only the wife of Ramji, but also the avatar of goddess Lakshmi, which is the consort of Vishnuji, naturally. And her lesser known fact is something I want you to tell people, because there are many versions of, her being, yeah, there was Agni Pariksha, this, that, etc. But I want to hear from you.
Two lesser known facts about her, which I would tell you very quickly.
Hmm.
The first one, because it's related to the story of Sri Ram, it is said that this Dhanush, which was made the condition for marriage,
Hmm.
this huge bow, the reason why it was made the condition for marriage is because once in childhood, while playing with her sisters hide and seek, it is said that Sita Ma went into the room to hide where this huge bow was kept. And she was curious. So she removed the cloth. She was fascinated and she just picked it up and she was playing with it.
Hmm.
And of course, then the sisters found her. So they put the bow down. And putting it down made such a huge noise that the king came and he realized, oh my God, she just picked it up. So because she was Lakshmi, she was born with that energy. And it is not just the strength you're talking about, it is the purity you're talking about, because this bow belongs to Lord Shiv. Lord Shiv had given it to Parshuram. Parshuram had given it to Janak for safekeeping. Now, if it belongs to Lord Shiv, imagine its energy.
Hmm.
Everyone cannot stand in front of it. Sita had that energy to lift it up. And hence, they wanted, an ideal husband would be someone who could also lift it up. And
True.
hence the condition came. So that's one lesser known fact. The other lesser known fact is that Sita was also a great warrior. She was very strong in warfare. And it is again said that after Ravan's death, one of Ravan's brother, whose name was Mahiravan. So there was one who was Ahiravan, who was killed by Hanuman,
Hmm.
because he had said that only a person who manages to dismantle or break the five faces of the Devi, the Tantric Devi, simultaneously will be able to kill me. And that is where the Panchamukhi avatar of Hanuman happened. He created five, so to say, embodiments to attack the five Devis kept in different directions simultaneously. But there was also Mahiravan, who got to know of Ravan's death and he was very furious. And you can understand by the name, Mahiravan is more powerful than Ravan, and hence Mahi is something larger. And he came and he was not only angry with Vibhishan, he was also trying to fight Vibhishan. And that is when Vibhishan got scared and he sent message to Sri Ram, please come and help me now. What do I do? And it is said that at that time, it was Ma Sita who went and fought and killed Mahiravan, because Mahiravan had said, I in his penance, that he can only be killed by a woman. So Ma Sita was a warrior of that level who could kill Mahiravan, who was higher in negative energy than Ravan. That is
Wow.
another trivia about Sita.
I'm already loving. I think I may make all other episodes all about all these lesser known facts. And viewers, if you're liking it, comment below with what you want to hear, because she is gold in terms, a treasure trove of all these amazing scriptures that we have in
Thank you.
Sanatan Dharma. So, all right. So, from Sita, let's move to Lakshmanji, the
Oh,
brother of Ramji, who was really devoted to Ramji to the extent that he chose to go with Ramji into exile for 14 years and protected Sita Ma as if it was his own mother through, they talk about Lakshman Rekha, which is another version of Ramayana. But a lesser known fact that I came to know was he was also called Gudakesh, where he was given a boon to stay awake for 14 years so that he could protect Ramji and Sita Ma.
another trivia. Arjun is also called Gudakesh. And
Oh.
when you say you get a boon to not sleep, it actually means a boon of the highest level of awareness. And that is why Lakshman could see through the golden deer. And he said, "This is the work of Marich, Ramji. This is not a real deer. Don't waste your energy running behind him." But for Ram, it was the first time during his entire married life that Sita had asked for something. And the
Hmm.
softness of his heart, he didn't have it in him to say a no, you see. But it was Lakshman who realized that this is Marich. Now, another one of the lesser known facts about Lakshman, like you said, he was so devoted to Ram that at the time of, the whole exile drama happening, he actually went to Ram and he said, "You do not need to go into exile because this is against the rule of dharma. This is adharma. This is wrong. This is injustice. And you don't worry, I alone am capable of fighting and winning against the entire army of Ayodhya." But like I told you, in Ayodhya,
No.
trifle, fight, friction doesn't stay. So Sri Ram told him not to do it. But that was his caliber. That was his power. Another instance of the same caliber or power comes when Sri Ram and Lakshman go and meet Shabri. And again, Shabri is in tears. Shabri was, again, a beautiful woman character in the Ramayana. We would be talking about her. But she was in tears that, "Sri Ram, you had to come to the jungle just because Ravan took your wife away, and I had to be the one to tell you to go and meet Sugriv." And
Hmm.
Sri Ram tells her, not only does he give her the knowledge of the 9 types of bhakti, devotion, which we call Navadha Bhakti, he also tells her that Lakshman is capable of killing Ravan even while stringing the bow with the tiniest toe of his left foot. So that is the kind of power that Lakshman has. However, then we wonder why Lakshman loses to Meghnad once. Why Lakshman actually falls, faints and falls? Because of anger. Lakshman
Yeah.
is the only character who couldn't control his anger. And there are 3 instances where he disrespects people. Hence, at the end, in a very dramatic fashion, Sri Ram tells him to go learn 3 lessons from Ravan.
Yeah.
That was Ramji's way of bringing his brother to the centered path.
And
That is trivia about Lakshman. Yeah.
wow. And it's amazing because you touch base on the law of karma.
Yes.
Because for every action, you have an equal and opposite reaction. So you've
Definitely.
done something that disrespected. Now go and do something of service and gratitude so that you nullify it.
Yes.
Amazing.
Again,
Absolutely.
a small nugget there. It is said that when Ram tells Lakshman, "Go, here is a fallen but a very learned man. Go get some knowledge from him." You know, what we
Mm.
call gyan
Yes.
in Sanskrit. And Lakshman goes and stands near Ravan's head and, "Hello, Mr. Ravan. My brother said you'll tell me something nice, please." Ravan doesn't respond. And that is when Sri Ram, like an ideal elder, takes Lakshman. He comes back. He's like, "Oh, he's not saying anything." Like you and I would be like, "What? You send me to this guy? He's not even talking." Sri Ram takes him, guides him to Ravan's feet. Now imagine a scenario where Ram the victorious is standing at the feet of Ravan, the fallen, and telling him, "Kindly give us some knowledge." And that is when Ravan gives him 3 pieces of information. We'll come to that later.
Mm.
But that was a learning for Lakshman. And that is a learning for us, because sometimes when elders say something, it hurts and we are not ready to accept it. But then we realize we were coming from a space of ego.
Correct.
Surrender is the key. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The surrender and humility, right? It takes a very brave man or woman to be humble enough to
Yes.
go and accept any sort of teaching from anyone, because I think you can learn from
Absolutely.
everybody.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. All
Absolutely.
right. So now we move on to my favorite, Hanumanji. I
Oh,
think he is the epitome of devotion. He teaches
yes.
everyone so much of devotion, apart from having the eight siddhis and nine nidhis. Like he had everything literally
Yes.
in his pocket. But yet, the lesser known fact about him was that he wrote his own version of the Ramayana, but destroyed it. I want you
Yes.
to tell why.
Please. Okay. So let me start with what you started with. The eight siddhis and nine nidhis. Asht siddhi navnidhi ke data.
Nitya.
The next line says Aswardin Janki Mata. When he reached the shores of Lanka, and when Sita Mata saw how much of peril he has taken to come here, because see, he's coming into an enemy kingdom where
Hmm.
he doesn't know anything about anything. So the kind of risk that he is taking is amazing. And hence she blesses him. Like we said, once she was centered, she was also the epitome of energy, of power. So she blesses him, she grants him this boon without his asking. Another thing to learn. He did not ask for it. We say, ask and it shall be given unto you. You don't need to ask. The divine knows. So that is one thing. The second thing of significance about him is that he wrote the Ramayana out of his love for Sri Ram. He was so much in love with Sri Ram that once he saw Sita Mata put this red thing called sindoor, and he asked her, "Why are you putting this?" And she said, "Because Lord Ram loves it." Wow, my Lord Ram loves this. He covered himself in that red. And that is why many of Hanumanji's uh, murtis that you see, statues,
Idol.
are smeared in this orange. That's his love. Coming back to the Ramayana, he wrote it because he just wanted to celebrate Ram. That
Hmm.
was his only motive. And they even say it is another word for it in Sanskrit is Swanta Sukhai. He enjoyed reliving those moments so much that he wrote about them. And that's where it ended. And then Valmiki wrote about the story of Sri Ram and he showed it to his guru. Now, whenever there is a guru shishya relationship, a teacher and a disciple, the disciple always is looking for the teacher's appreciation.
True.
Have I come up to your standards? Are
Hmm.
you happy with the work I've produced? And at that time, his teacher, which is Narad, Devrishi Narad, said, "Oh, this is a beautiful work of art, Valmiki. But you know what? Hanuman's is better." And that hurt Valmiki a little. So he went in search of Hanuman and he said, "Show me your Ramayana." And when Hanuman showed, it is said that tears flew through Valmiki's eyes and literally flew. That's how much he cried. And Hanuman said, "Why do you cry?" He said, "Two reasons. I am so much in awe of your creative talents because this is indeed the most beautiful creation on earth.
Hmm.
But I'm also sad because now no one will read my Ramayana. If they read yours, how will they read mine?" And then it is said that Hanuman, on one shoulder, he sat Valmiki. On the other shoulder, put those stone tablets on which he had written the Ramayana, flew with them to the sea, and in clear plain sight of Valmiki, he threw those tablets in the sea. And Valmiki was shocked. He said, "Why would you do that?" And that is when Hanuman said, "My work was accomplished when I finished writing. For you, it matters that people read your Ramayana. For me, it doesn't matter. So don't worry. Now people will read only yours." And it is also said that at that time, Valmiki was overtaken by emotion and love and bhakti and devotion towards Hanuman that he told him, if ever I have a rebirth, whenever I have a rebirth, I am going to celebrate you. And hence, when Valmiki comes as Tulsidas, according to some, he not only writes or creates the Hanuman Chalisa and all the other stotrams which come with it, he also calls the one kand which you can be read independently Sundar Kand. Why not
Hmm.
Hanuman Kand? All the other kands are named on mostly places. So Balkand is about the childhood. Ayodhya Kand is about life in Ayodhya. Aranya Kand is about the life in the jungle.
Hmm.
Kishkinda Kand is when they reach Kishkinda, which is where they meet Sugriv. Again, Lanka Kand is about Lanka.
Hmm.
Uttar Kand is post veneration. It's only Sundar Kand, which is called Sundar, because it is the epitome of beauty called Hanuman. It only celebrates Hanuman. And B, the significant thing is you can read Sundarkand independently of the other
Khan.
so-called chapters. And there is a
Hmm.
lot more of Hanuman. You could do an episode on Hanuman.
Oh, I have so many episodes in line, I feel.
Yes. Actually,
I,
another important thing about Hanuman, which must be told, he's the only bhakt, the only devotee who reaches the level of a god, of an
hmm.
Ishvara, because Sri Ram sees the level of his devotion and blesses him that, people who come through you, people who pray to you will reach me faster.
And that's why he's a Chiranjeevi, he's an immortal as
He
well.
is
And
a Chiranjeevi.
I mean, for me, personally believe he's been my favorite since childhood. And I know why he has such a huge fan following in literal New Age terms, because he's one, I think, the deities you want to call, or whatever you want to call him, that protects you through thick and thin. Apart from Ganeshji. And yeah, there are so
Yes,
many others, but I think he's
yes,
worshipped not just as a protector, but the symbolism of pure devotion, literally.
yes, yes.
So now let's
Okay,
come.
one more thing about him, why he's
Hmm.
special, is because in one lifetime, as Hanuman, he shows you the progress from devotee to God.
And he actually, to think about it, he actually shows how ignorant. He didn't know he had so many powers. And yet, when he was faced with all these challenges and all these obstructions in his life, he worked out all his powers. And that's why every
Yes,
pain has a power to
absolutely.
transform it.
Yes, yes. And that is why it is said that when everyone was, talking about their ability to cross the ocean,
Mm.
which, by the way, it is said was 100 yojan. The highest was Angad, who said he could go 80. And that is when Jamvan actually invokes Hanuman. The Sundarkand starts with Jamvan ke vachan suhai. Suni Hanumant hriday ati bhai. Jamvan tells him, of course you can go. Why are you sitting quietly? So we all have that hidden talent. We all have that hidden power. Sometimes it takes somebody outside to invoke us. Yes, you can do it. Sometimes it takes your own vivek or intelligence to
Oh,
invoke you. Yes, I can do it. And then you take a leap of faith. Thank you.
amazing. And now let's come to the main antagonist of Ramayana, very famous Ravan, and I'll call him
Oh,
Ravanji as well, because in Jainism as well, he's really revered
yes,
because spectacular scholar, 10 heads depict 10 mastery in different domains and fields. But the best part about, or the lesser known fact about him, is that he invented the instrument called the Rudra Veena and
yes,
composed the Shiv Tandav Stotram, which is still
yes,
revered till today.
yes.
The floor is yours.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So just taking up from there, the Rudra Veena till date, it is easier to learn the Veena. It is harder to learn the Rudra Veena. The other thing about the Shiva Tandav Stotram, it is said that he was so much in love with Shiv, with Bhagwan Shiv. It is
Hmm.
not just, bhakti or devotion. It had transcended to obsession, that he wanted to always be near his God. And how could he do that? Because he had a country called Lanka and he had responsibilities there. So he thought, let me just go and meet Shivji and ask for a solution. However, when he went there, it is said that Nandi told him, right now, you can't meet Shivji. And his patience gave way, and his impatience got the better of him, and he decided, what is this mountain? Let me carry the entire Kailash and take it to Lanka. And while he was trying to carry Kailash, Nandi just pressed his small toe, and Ravan's hands got stuck under Kailash. And that is when, again, God never does anything without a reason. His ego shattered, and he realized that you cannot own God, you can
Hmm.
surrender to God. And that is when he, while his hands being pressed there, his devotion got the better of him now, and he created the Shiv Tandav Stotram, which is again Chandbadh. It is to meter. It is not just some cry for help. It is to meter, and it is supposed to be the most powerful of chants for Lord Shiva. And another very small trivia about Ravan, which appears in some narrations of the Ramayana, is that when Sri Ram had reached Rameshwaram, the lowest point, and he was told that before he starts on his journey towards Lanka, so this is after the bridge has been made, he was told, do a yagya, do a tapas for success. Now, for an energy like Ram, someone equally powerful, knowledgeable has to come. And it is said, and also, not only that, you cannot do this yagya if your wife is not by your side. It's incomplete. So, therefore, a message was sent to Ravan, and he, because he was a Brahmin by birth, as his duties as a Brahmin, he not only came, it is said that he brought Sita along. Ram and Sita sat, they did the yagya with Ravan as the rishi, with Ravan as the Brahman. And what yagya is Ravan doing for them? A victory yagya, which basically means what? Ravan is going to be killed. But as a Brahmin, he does that yagya. The beauty of it is, after the yagya is over, Ravan takes Sita and goes back. Neither Ram says, Ab to bivi aa gayi. Now my wife is here. Go, you go. Nor Ravan doubted it. So hence he brought Sita. Nor does Sita say, oh, I'm here. Now I'm not going with you. I'm with my husband. Husband, go fight him. No. They all maintain their dignified, responsible behavior in whatever role they were playing. So that is very significant for me.
Wow. Wow. Which actually shows, right? The law of nature was abided by even deities
Yes.
and the
Yes.
highest embodiment of the divine like Ramji, Ravan, Sita Ma, all of them. So where are our ethics? We should also go
Yes.
with the
And
rules of nature.
definitely. And that is why these scriptures, or as we call them, itihas,
Hmm.
Ramayana and Mahabharata are called
Ah, it
itihas.
has.
That is why they are relevant, because they even today can give us guidelines on how to live life.
Beautiful. Yeah, I
Yes.
completely agree. And
Okay.
every time you read them, you learn something more. You learn
Yes.
something more.
You learn something new.
They're just like living transmissions, literally, I feel.
Yes. Because every time you read them, you develop, your energy expands.
Yeah,
You are able to understand something more subtle, something more subtle, something subtler. And hence, every time you get more, better, clearer interpretations.
true.
Yeah.
All right. So next we go to our dear Bharat,
Oh, yes.
who was yet another devotee of Ramji, his older
Yes.
brother. to the extent that even after getting the kingdom of Ayodhya for 14 years, post Ramji's exile to the forest, Bharat placed Ramji's sandals on the throne, symbolizing his loyalty and devotion, and didn't, sit as a king, but he just
Yeah,
made a commitment to do all the kingdom duties rightfully until Ram comes back.
absolutely.
The
Yes.
lesson
One
all
of the
packs in.
most one of the most uncelebrated characters in Ramayana. Okay, so very fast. Number one, he was given the kingdom on a platter of gold. He refused to accept it. He actually told his mother that you have been unfair, you have been unjust, unlawful. Number two, he goes to the forest to request Ram to come back.
Hmm.
And this is a beautiful prasang or a part of the story where one brother is saying, please come back and take your kingdom. The other brother is saying, no, brother, I have to stay for 14 years to respect what my father has promised. Not only that, he tells, now, once he's got the kingdom for 14 years, he can simply go back and live a normal life. He tells his brother, till you come back, I will also live like a Vanvasi. So, from Ayodhya, which is the capital, he takes his throne, so to say, or his workplace to Nandigram, where the Paduka or the footwear of Sri Ram are kept on the throne, and he sits there and he does everything. So the responsibilities he has taken totally, but the benefits he doesn't take any. Not only
Hmm.
that, because he said he was a Vanvasi and his whole day would go in taking care of the kingdom,
Hmm.
it is that said that for 14 years he never slept at night. He used to sit and meditate because that is what a Vanvasi is supposed to do, sit and meditate. So he spent his nights in meditation, which gave him so much power, so much energy that he found out that Hanuman is crossing. When Hanuman was going back with the entire Rishyamukh Parvat, the entire mountain, to give Sanjeevani to Lakshman, he not only found out that Hanuman is going, with one arrow he brought Hanuman down, and once he realized that he is going for the right cause, not just my brother's life, but the right cause, he manifested one of his weapons. Okay. It is said, in all the tellings that it was an arrow. But imagine fitting Hanuman onto one arrow. How big that arrow would have to be. So definitely it was a weapon which he manifested, sat Hanuman along with the mountain on it, and sent him to Lanka at jet speed. That was the power of Bharat, the energy of Bharat, the kind of, sattva that he had generated through his meditation. And yet, like you said, humility.
Which brings me to this point, Anupam ji. The weapons used, like what you said, were a manifestation of the energy of whoever created that weapon. And
Yes,
you've spoken about like this arrow being, it might be mighty to actually let Hanumanji sit and go through. Ayodhya is in the north of India, and it had to go all the way down to the south of India.
yes, yes, yes. So you see, there is also an incident which comes in the Balkand where, again, how did Vishwamitra know that only Ram can kill Tata? Because he was of that energy level, he could recognize. Dasharath couldn't. Dasharath was fearful. My young boy, you want to take him to kill demons in the forest? My delicate young little son. Like any father would say, oh, my poor baby. But Vishwamitra could see that this is the avatar of Sri Hari Vishnu. And hence he said, please bring him with me. Send him with me. Not only that, after Sri Ram kills Tadka, and he is yet to face Subahu and Marich, Vishwamitra, who has been doing meditation for centuries,
Mm.
like Vishwamitra and Vashisht, they transcend yugas. They come from Satyug and they are there in Treta. and still going strong, if you may use that word. He gives all his weapons which he had manifested to Sri Ram. They are, let's say, activated with a chant, with a mantra. Like today, we say missiles are activated with codes.
Yeah.
But these special weapons come in human form, and they surrender to Ram and they say, yes, we will be available whenever you want us. And after that, in energy form, in unmanifest form, in the causal form, they are then imbibed into the body of Sri Ram. And the beauty of it is that throughout the Ramayana, you never see Ram using these weapons. So,
Wow.
yes, there was that energy. But when Sri Ram said, when Ravan had asked for a boon saying that I should be killed by an ordinary man, then Sri Ram did not cheat. He said,
Hmm.
ordinary man it is that will kill you. Yes. So that is the secret of all these weapons which you get from the different gods and goddesses when you surrender in meditation.
Yeah. And I agree. And science says it, right? Everything is geometry. Our body, a subtle body is a geometric pattern. So,
Yes.
and Sanskrit as a language,
Is the most scientific language.
exactly, absolutely. And it really, when you start, and I think it's an experiential journey that as and when you meditate, do your sadhana, your rituals, uh, meditate and, do japas of these mantras, a lot of subtle things show up in your life. But that's
Absolutely.
another topic for another day. Now
Yes.
that we're on this beautiful topic of Dasharatha, let's go with Dasharatha. So,
Okay.
Dasharatha, the king of Ayodhya, Ramji's father, an absolute fantastic king, warrior who couldn't be defeated in war easily. His lesser known fact is that he had a daughter named Shanta that he gave in adoption to one of the kings. Can you please shed some light?
Very beautiful symbolic story. You see, Dashrath and Kaushalya had a daughter named Shanta. He gave her to Kashinath, the king of Kashi,
Hmm.
because he did not have children. Now, the symbolism of this is your daughter brings you Lakshmi, brings you Shri, brings you blessings, brings you abundance. When you give your daughter away, you're not going to have sons. Okay. And it is also said, it's a very beautiful story that he waited to have sons for a very long time. It is in some of the tellings, including Valmiki Ramayana, it is said that he was 60,000 years old when Ramji was born.
Wow.
Some say 6,000, variations, but yet. So he waited for that long to have a son and never had a son till Shanta's husband, Rishi Shring, or Shring Rishi as he is called, is requested to come and do the Putreshti Yagya for him. And it is
Hmm.
said that Rishi Shring came with his wife Shanta, and as she walked into Ayodhya, every time, you put a foot and then you lift a foot and put a foot. Every time she lifted her foot, there were flowers blooming in Ayodhya. Wherever she set foot. So she brought back the Shri, the energy, the purity, the abundance, which is so required for a Ram to take birth in your city or in your family. Another very important, vital, but lesser known fact about Dashrath is that he was one of the very few who could shoot an arrow just by sound. Swarbhedi Ban, only he could do. He was one of the very few who could do that. However, Dashrath is a beautiful example of both do's and don'ts. Shri Ram
Hmm.
is all do's. Dashrath is do's and don'ts. Dashrath's do's were that if he promised something, he fulfilled it. Always. But Dashrath's don'ts were his sense of attachment.
Hmm.
You see, he could not accept the fact that Vishwamitra wants to take my son. He was attached to his son. It's like Sadhguru says, your children are born through you, not to you. Again, a very vital lesson for us. It took all of the Raj Sabha, Guru Vashisht, Vishwamitra to convince him to send Ram. And yet it was not good enough till Ram himself said, please let me go. I can manage this. And the same attachment he had once again when Kekai said, let Ram go. He was, many people don't understand the cause of his agony, pain, which Ayodhya Kand is so vocal about. Yes, a part of it was his love for his son. He was torn between his responsibility and his love for his son. But a part of it was also that he did not learn from his past. Every situation that comes your way, according to your level of growth, has come to teach you something. If he had learned from that first incident with Vishwamitra, that but for me, Ram would have never reached Sita's Swayamvar, got a wife, got all the other three brothers wonderful wives. If he had not learned that, if he had learned that lesson, he would not have then struggled with this. He would have accepted this as fate, as hard as it was. Maybe there is something good in this also. But it was his attachment to Ram that makes him tell Ram to do something which is almost unlawful. He tells Ram, you come, you attack me. I'm anyways an old king. Put me in jail, take over the kingdom. Then Kekai can't tell you anything. And it is Ram who tells him, no, you have to fulfill your promise, because that is what we are known for. Raghukul read sada chali aayi, pran jaye par vachan na jaye. Okay, you have to fulfill your promise. And if it has to happen via me, then so be it. Let it happen via me. I will go. I will go into exile. And Ram maintained that for the exact period of 14 years. But Dasharatha teaches you how non-attachment should come into your life. He dies missing his son, crying for his son, grieving his son. So that is a very significant lesson we learn from Dasharatha. Especially
Human
the
attachment.
so-called empty nest syndrome mothers. We learn this from Dasharatha.
Human attachments, which
Yes,
cause so much pain and suffering.
yes,
Ah,
absolutely.
so, which brings me to our beloved Keikei.
Oh, yes,
Mata Keikei, who's, I think, disliked by many because of what she did to Sri
yes,
Ram. Of course, she was the most beloved and most favorite of King Dasharatha, of the queens. And the lesser known fact, apart from her, like, mainstream fact of her sending Ram because of her love again for her child to be
yes,
her,
yes.
her,
Attachment.
attachment for Bharat to be the king and not Ram. KK was a very skilled warrior, and that's
Yes,
how she saved Dasharath and got the boon of asking anything from Dasharath.
yes, yes. So, the backstory of that is that there was a war between the gods and the demons,
Hmm.
Sur Asur Yudh, where they requested the gods, they requested Dashrath to please come and fight on their side because this was a losing battle. The Asurs were much stronger, or let's say much more brutal, and the Surs were losing. And he agreed to go, of course, but Kekai said, I will come with you. So that showed her devotion to her husband, to
Hmm.
go into war with him. And they reached a stage where his charioteer was killed by the demons. So she took care of the charioting job. She was holding on to the reins of the horses while Dashrath was fighting, and Dashrath was injured. Not only was Dashrath injured, one of the wheels got loose. The spokes came out. So, with one hand, she was holding on to the reins of the horses, and with the other, she took the spear, the bhala, and she put it into the wheel, and she was holding that spoke so that the wheel also doesn't get dismantled. And she brought Dashrath out to safety, out of the war zone. Because again, the demons don't follow the rule that if he is fallen, we should not fight. They would have probably just killed him.
Hmm.
And when Dashrath regained consciousness, he was so impressed. that he told her to take two boons whenever. And at that time, she had said that I don't need anything. I did it because you're my husband and I love you, and that's it.
True.
Okay. And whenever I need, I will take. It was relegated to the future. Another lesser known fact also about Kekai is that she was much younger than Kaushalya and Sumitra. It was simply that King Dasharath fell in love with her beauty. It is said that she was one of the most beautiful women who walked the face of the earth, that he went to her father, to Kekai Raj, and asked for her hand. And at that time, Kekai Raj had said, well, for you, you get a beautiful wife. What does my daughter get? And because he was so kind of confident that, Kaushalya and Sumitra have not had sons, he kind of promised that, okay, her son would be the king. So technically, she was not in the wrong by asking for Bharat to become a king. However, because she had been such a devoted and devout wife, she had been such a loving mother to all the four sons, that when she did this, it was totally unexpected and it came as a rude shock, you see. And at that time, it was uncalled for.
Hmm.
Maybe if she had just said, okay, make Bharat the king, nobody would have objected that much. Least of all, King Dasharatha. But it was her attachment to her son which made her ask for the firstborn. But it was her insecurity about her son which made her ask for the secondborn. Why do you want to send Ram into the jungle if you're confident your son can run the state well? That was the cause of her downfall. And hence, to this date, we don't name our daughters Kekai.
Yeah. Wow. Loved it.
Thank
And
you.
to end this episode, the last character, which for me is an ideal mother figure, which is the mother of Sri Ram, Kaushalya Mata,
Yes.
the chief queen of King Dashrath, of course, the epitome of motherhood. She just embodies every aspect of a mother. Pre Ram going into exile, after even going into exile, and a lesser known fact is she did a yagya with Dashrath for Sri Ram to be born to her.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So it wasn't for Sri Ram to be born, it was for having a son.
Hmm.
And because she was the eldest of all three wives, it was only logical, appropriate that she sit for the yagya, which was all fine. But prior to Sri Ram's birth, she was also a very gracious co-sister. She accepted Sumitra and Kekai as her sisters. There was no animosity between them. And, like it is said, you lead by example. She led by example. She accepted the two of them. She loved them. They were friendly with each other. Hence, the other two also kind of followed suit. Another lesser known fact about Kaushalya is that when the yagya was over, the Putriyashti yagya, which Shanta's husband, her daughter's husband, Rishi Shring had performed, it is said that the Lord of Fire brought out a dessert, the rice pudding or the kheer,
Hmm.
and gave it to King Dashrath to give it to his wife to have a child. It was like the blessing, the prasad. And King Dashrath gave half to Kaushalya and half to Kekai. Because Kaushalya, of course, is the senior most, should get. But Kekai, he was very fond of her,
Hmm.
the youngest. So he gave her. And again, she led by example. She gave half of what she got to Sumitra. And when Kekai saw her doing such a beautiful thing, she also, again, out of the goodness of her heart, gave half to Sumitra. And that is why Sumitra gave birth to twins, Lakshman and Shatrughna. And because she got half share from Kaushalya, hence Lakshman was attached to Sri Ram. Attached not in a gross sense, attached in an affiliation sense. And Shatrughna was attached or affiliated more with Bharat. So, two lessons again from there. One, whatever you give, you receive in more abundantly from the universe. She gave half a bowl of kheer and she got a lifelong partner for her son through thick and thin. And the second thing is Sumitra did not get anything from the husband, but she got two sons. So she was rewarded more abundantly than the other two. They had one son each, she had two sons.
Wow.
Yes, and the best part about Kaushalya is that, of course, when Ram goes into exile, she's very bitter about, and understandably so.
Hmm.
Your husband has always been fond of another co-sister, and you've accepted it as now. But now, when she hits so close to your heart, suddenly all of that looks evil to you.
Hmm.
But when they go into the jungle to request Ram to come back, along with Bharat, when Bharat goes to the jungle to request Ram, he takes his three mothers, he takes Guru Vashisht, and everybody in Ayodhya who wants to go goes. At that time, when Sri Ram says, I don't have anything in my heart against Kekai. This was meant to be, it just happened through her. Kaushalya forgives Kekai. She comes back to Ayodhya, and they three. The significant thing about Kekai is that she does real penance. She seeks forgiveness from Ram. And Ram tells her, there's nothing to forgive, Ma. This just had to happen. It was a sequence of events which had to, play out in this manner. But when Ram forgives her, Kekai comes back and continues her penance, her tapas. Kaushalya comes back, forgiving Kekai, accepting her as they were before the death of their husband, Dasharatha. So that is the greatness of Kekai.
Anupam ji, I think we could go on and on and on. But to wrap up, thank you for such an enriching episode.
Thank you.
The intention was to show people that, yeah, we know the mainstream stories, etc. Inherently, everyone's got beautiful qualities and their own unique essences. And at heart, everyone is good, irrespective of however destiny life plays out. And there are such lessons to learn. And you've
Yes.
given invaluable wisdom.
Thank you.
So thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
for
Thank you very
viewers,
much.
please stay tuned because we have another episode with her, which is all about the women of Ramayan. That's it for today, folks. If you found value in this conversation, go ahead and apply it in your life or share it with someone who really needs to hear this message. And while you're at it, please hit that subscribe button to stay updated on more inspiring stories. Interested in upleveling yourself? You can join our community, Burnout Breakers. The link is in the show notes for all the details. Until next time, keep thriving and keep growing.